It's Wednesday in Tryon, North Carolina, and our granddaughters and daughter have arrived for the Thanksgiving holiday, and we're thankful to have them with us. We are continuing to have drought here. We did not get any rain today, even though they said there was a chance of showers. This now makes 10 weeks without rain. Forest fires are raging to the north of us and to the south of us, and smoke is heavy in the mountains. We'll still have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we hope that you'll pray with us for rain. Right now, the weather forecast, long-range forecast, says the best chance for rain is next Monday or Tuesday. We're looking at spiritual warfare. This is part 9, and we've looked at Abraham, and we've looked at Moses, and we've looked at Noah. Sorry, we have not looked at Moses yet. We've looked at Noah, and we looked at Adam and Eve and Cain. Some of you who are parents will understand why I say this is spiritual warfare. You see, Abraham wanted a wife for his son and sent one of his servants off to a distant land to part of his family that would have had the same beliefs that he had, to find a woman to be his son's wife. And when the servant arrived, he found a person named Rebekah. And Rebekah's father, Bethuel, was asked, would he allow Rebekah to return to a distant land to a man that they've never met, to be his wife. And when the servant explained all that Abraham had said, and that this was a directive that Abraham believed was from God, I call that the God card. How do you argue with God? On the same token, I would suggest to you that if you are a parent and you have sons and daughters, particularly if you have daughters, you know it's pretty hard to let them go, and to be sure that they're going to be treated well, and that the men that they're marrying are going to be good husbands and treat them with respect and not hurt them. Fathers, I think in particular, are close and worried more about their daughters than they do about their sons. They figure their sons can take care of themselves, but daughters sometimes can't. And so here's what Bethuel says to the servant of Abraham. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go. Let her be the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has spoken. See, I believe that when you're a Christian, God has a perfect mate. And I believe that it's parents' responsibility to pray diligently for their children to find the mate that God has for them. I believe it's the parents' responsibility to do everything they can in their power to be sure that their daughters and sons are equally yoked, and that will have the same spiritual basis for their marriage and union. That's not a guarantee of a perfect union, but it certainly helps. And when I say a God card, when somebody comes to me and says, God told me to do such and such, what do you think? I say, it doesn't matter what I think. If God said to do it, I'm not going to argue with God. That's the God card. And then we find Rebekah herself. Now, obviously, she should have some say in this. And they said they would call the girl and consult her wishes. And when they called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. Now, I would suggest to you that there was some spiritual warfare for Bethuel. I would suggest to you that there was some spiritual warfare for Rebekah, as they were taking the servant's word for the fact that it was God and Abraham under God's direction who had sent for this woman to be his son's wife. And if you are a parent, you understand what I'm talking about. When the young man asked my daughter to marry him, I had fear and trembling, even though he said he was a Christian, even though he had exemplified a lot of Christian values. I still wanted to be sure that he was going to treat her right. And when my son came to us and told us that he was getting married, we were concerned also that she be equally yoked with him. And every indication was that she is. And to this date, one of those marriages worked very well. One of them didn't work so very well. There's no guarantee. People have free will, and they have the choice of what they want to do. But I can tell you that there would be spiritual warfare for anyone, the husband, the wife, the parents, whenever there is a union that's getting ready to be made, because we want our children to have the very best. We don't want them to be hurt, and we desire to see them happy and to have children, and for us to have grandchildren. And all we can do is pray for them, pray that they would have discernment about God's perfect mate for them, and then that the mates will act according to God's direction, and that both your children and the ones that they marry will follow God and follow his standards and values. And then we know that we'll have happy families and happy grandchildren. And you can understand the amount of spiritual warfare that goes into being sure that both the husband and the wife are keeping Christ in the center of their marriage. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a wonderful day.